Check, check, un, deux. Boom, check. Il est bas?
Bonjour, bonjour mes amis. Hi there. So Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau announced a new cabinet today. And for me, changing the ministers or not doesn't give me any more or less confidence in this government. What would give me confidence is a clear indication of the policies that this government will enact that are going to benefit people. Because for the past 4 years, in a majority, this government hasn't prioritized people. Instead, they've prioritized those at the very top. And that has to change. And so the changing of the ministers doesn't signal that to me. What I want to see is some real commitment to things like national dental care, universal pharmacare that's public, real commitments to fight for Indigenous justice, real commitments to tackle housing. That's what I'm looking for. Donc, avec les décisions de ce gouvernement, du Premier ministre Trudeau, de changer les ministres ou de ne pas changer les ministres, ça ne me donne pas confiance que ce gouvernement a décidé de changer les priorités. Ce que je veux voir, c'est un changement de politique. Parce que dans les 4 années passées, le gouvernement a favorisé les plus riches et ça doit changer. Il faut que ça change et il faut que le gouvernement donne la priorité aux gens, aux travailleurs et travailleuses. Et c'est exactement ce que je veux voir.
En créant un ministère de la prospérité de la classe moyenne, comment est-ce que vous pouvez être contre ça? Il veut aider les gens, il veut créer de la prospérité pour la classe moyenne. Comment vous pouvez être contre la prospérité?
Ce que je pense, j'ai beaucoup de questions par rapport à cette ministre. C'est quoi la définition de la classe moyenne? Et en fait, la position encore ne me donne pas de confiance que le gouvernement va vraiment aider les familles qui ont besoin d'aide. Ce que je veux voir, c'est un engagement d'aider les travailleurs et les travailleuses, les familles, et un changement des politiques qui a, depuis des années, favorisé les plus riches. Donc, j'ai plusieurs questions pour ce gouvernement. C'est quoi la définition de cette ministre? Et en fait, c'est quoi la priorité ou c'est quoi les engagements pour aider les familles et tous les Canadiens?
Le nouveau ministre de l'Environnement est assez pro-TMX, pro de Trans Mountain. Un ministre de l'Environnement qui est pro-pipeline, ça vous dit quoi, ça?
Ça ne change pas, en fait, ce qu'on a déjà vu avec ce gouvernement. De un côté, on a un premier ministre qui a parlé beaucoup de la crise climatique, mais il n'a pas livré la marchandise. Il a les mêmes cibles du gouvernement Harper. Il n'a pas arrêté ou annulé les subventions pétrolières. Il a acheté un pipeline. Donc, en fait, c'est une continuation d'un gouvernement qui a donné des bonnes paroles, mais si on parle des actions concrètes, ce n'était pas là. The last question. So the decision of this government to choose the current Minister of Environment doesn't give me any pause, because this is, again, a government and a Prime Minister who said some nice words around fighting the climate crisis but hasn't delivered real action. Things like ending fossil fuel subsidies, a real commitment to lowering emissions and more aggressive targets, accountability to make sure the governments don't just miss targets that are set. I don't see concrete commitments, and that's what I'm going to be fighting for. There's a lot of young people, there's a lot of people in Canada that want to see some real commitments to not just fighting the climate crisis, fighting it like we want to win it, but also creating jobs so no one's left behind. And I've not seen that so far, but I will continue to remain hopeful that this government understands that there needs to be concrete action that challenges the status quo, that reduces emissions and creates jobs.
What do you think of their efforts to increase Western representation in different ways with a new deputy prime minister that's born in Alberta, that sort of thing, and the TMX or the environment minister?
Well, there's a lot of Canadians right now that feel ignored. They feel like they don't matter, and they feel worried about their future. To those Canadians, they need more than just an appointment of a minister. They need some real policies. They need some real decisions that are going to make sure they don't feel ignored or left behind. And that's why I'm calling for some real specific things. Let's invest in healthcare so that people have the healthcare that they need when they need it. Let's make sure we make investments in housing. And let's fight the climate crisis with a real clear plan that lays out a future for people that is sustainable and long-lasting. And that's going to address the fear that people have about losing their jobs and not being able to make ends meet. We've got to tackle that concern directly. En français. Donc, la décision d'avoir des ministres pour régler les inquiétudes des gens au Canada ne me donne pas de confiance et je pense que ça ne répond pas aux besoins des gens. Ce qu'ils ont besoin, il y a plusieurs Canadiens à ce moment, à travers le pays, qui se sentent comme laissés à côté, qui se sentent que le gouvernement n'attend pas leurs besoins, ne les écoute pas. Et pour changer ça, ce n'est pas une question de changer les ministres, c'est une question de changer les politiques. Il faut...
À propos de l'Ouest canadien spécifiquement,
oui,
la
exactement.
division qui semble y avoir.
Exactement. Il y a des gens dans l'Ouest du Canada qui font face des crises, des précarités, des volatilités. Ils ont peur pour leurs emplois. Ce qu'il faut faire, c'est de régler ces problèmes directement, de parler avec les gens qui ont peur pour l'avenir en disant on va créer des emplois de qualité, une économie durable, on va s'assurer que vous pouvez avoir accès aux santé et services santé quand vous avez besoin. Donc, ce sont les choses qu'il faut faire pour vraiment régler les inquiétudes des gens de l'Ouest, pas nommer des ministres spécifiques, mais avec des changements des politiques spécifiques. The thing is, it's not that the cabinet is positive or negative. It's just that the cabinet itself doesn't really give me any confidence one way or the other. It's the decision that this government will make or the policies that they're going to put in place that will give me confidence. So it's not to say that I have any concern about the individuals. My concern is that the individuals aren't going to change the policies. I want to see the Prime Minister indicate that there's going to be a change in tone with real commitments to lift people up and respond to the worries that they're faced with. That's what I want to see.
What are some of the planks of the Liberal climate policy and pledges that you would never agree on?
What are some of the?
Some of the Liberal climate policy and pledges that you will never agree on.
I think I would say the lack of commitments. Like they've talked about the climate crisis, but not really ended fossil fuel subsidies. They haven't really committed to accountability measures. They've talked about maybe a little bit about the increasing the targets or making the targets bolder, but they haven't added that up with mechanisms to make them accountable. And those are some of the things I'm going to be pushing for, really ending the fossil fuel subsidies and an accountability mechanism. You can't just have targets that governments miss without any accountability. That's not good enough.
And what specifically does the government need to do to show you that they're willing to work with you and your party to move forward quickly on climate action?
So for climate action, really the focus has to be reducing emissions in a real way and also a commitment to creating jobs. So one of the things I've called for very specifically is instead of subsidizing the fossil fuel sector, that money should go towards creating jobs directly, creating good jobs that are in the green economy, a clean economy. That would be a commitment to me that we're ending something that should have ended a long time ago and putting money into directly helping communities that are impacted with job creation plans. That would be something that shows me a concrete commitment.
You talked about this in French, saying, well, what is the middle class that Minister Monaforche will now be in charge of? So when you see these types of initiatives, they have the middle class ministry, they have more regional economic specification for Minister Joly. It seems that there is a big focus on job creation, on economic regional development, and also on the middle class. Do you see this as, because you're talking about raising up people's standard and employment quality, so are those real initiatives to do that, or are you just saying that these are just buzzwords?
Well, right now they're just symbolic. They're just buzzwords right now without any substance attached to them. I'm not ruling out that there might be some substance, but right now all I'm seeing are announcements without any substance, and they're just people in positions but I haven't heard from a government yet any clear commitments on things that I know will help Canadians out. I know that Canadians are asking for. Anywhere across Canada, if you go, people will tell you they're worried about healthcare. That is one of the largest concerns in any election. That's a concern that anyone that you ask across Canada is going to say, yeah, I'm worried about the state of our healthcare. One of the ways to improve healthcare, the clearest, boldest way to improve our healthcare system would be a universal, public, single-payer pharmacare for all. I haven't heard a commitment to that. That would give me some confidence. For the workers that are faced with fear and uncertainty about their jobs, it's a real fear. So I want to see commitments not to just naming someone from the West, but let's see a pathway that we end the subsidies and reinvest into workers so that there's really good quality jobs that workers can say, okay, I see that there's a path for me. I can earn a living to support my family. I haven't seen that yet. And then the middle class, that just the notion of middle class prosperity, what about people who are working class? What about people who don't maybe fit into that category? And what does that category really mean? I want to see a commitment to just Canadians, to working people, so that people who are working can earn a good living, can find a place to live, can have healthcare they can count on. That's what I want to see.
All right, so minority government, what's your shadow cabinet going to do, right? So what's your main priority, your 3 top goals, let's say, to hold this particular cabinet to account?
Well, the general theme is going to be continuing on what we built on before, that the government has to, this Liberal government and Prime Minister Trudeau, have to start really prioritizing people instead of the powerful, wealthy corporations. And that's what we've seen for too long. So that's going to be an overarching theme. Let's make sure that government works for people. And I've not seen that as a decision that this government's made. And then in terms of shadow cabinet, really our focus is on healthcare. That's a key problem that came up during the campaign. We want to see commitments to pharmacare and dental care, Indigenous justice. The first people of this land need real justice. That means quality housing and drinking water. And then I've raised the concern around beyond healthcare and Indigenous justice, we want to see concrete action on the climate justice file that includes creating jobs. These are just some of the themes, but all the priorities that we laid out before, making sure the wealthiest pay their fair share, is going to continue to be a concern.
What's a sign? I'll sort of accuse you of using a buzzword.
Yeah.
What's the sign that the government's working for people, as you put it, right, and not for big corporations? So what will you take as a sign that the government's taking that talking point of yours seriously?
Well, one concrete thing is, to date, the Prime Minister has never committed publicly to his own report, the Hoskins report, which states that the best way forward to put in place a pharmacare for all is a universal public system. He's not made that commitment broadly. And not making that commitment makes me, the only logical conclusion that I can draw is that he'd rather protect the pharmaceutical or the insurance lobbyists, because the people that benefit from this would be all Canadians. And those who don't want it are really just the pharmaceutical and insurance lobbyists. So that to me would be a clear signal he's more interested in people than the powerful corporate elite. But if he doesn't make that commitment, then I'd continue to be concerned.
Pensez-vous être capable de travailler avec Patricia Haïdou, la nouvelle ministre de la Santé, pour travailler justement sur vos priorités à vous?
Oh oui, bien sûr. Je suis prêt de travailler avec la ministre, je suis prêt de travailler avec le Premier ministre, je suis prêt de travailler ensemble si la priorité, c'est les gens. Et ça, c'est pour moi primordial.
Who did you name as your whip and your House Leader today?
I'm not sure we're announcing it, but I have named them today, but we will figure out a time and a place to announce that properly. But I have named them, and I am not going to name. I am not. I know you're right here, right? But no, we haven't talked about maybe putting that out yet. So I have to make sure we do that the right way. I was so tempted because I was like, I actually asked so nicely, and I just wanted to answer, but
What if the government
I will.
doesn't budge on their Paris emission targets?
That's problematic. I mean, we've said that one of the things that young people are demanding, people who are worried about the future demanding, is that the current targets are not good enough. So we're pushing for more aggressive, bolder targets, as well as accountability with that, hand in hand. We can't just have targets without accountability, and so I'm pushing for both. Oof, you jumped on that one. I saw you about to.
Go ahead. Do you want to go, Teresa? Go ahead. J'aimerais vous entendre un peu plus clairement sur le ministère de l'Environnement. Le nouveau ministre de l'Environnement, qui est pro-pipeline, qu'est-ce que ça dit à propos de l'engagement environnemental de ce gouvernement?
Encore, si je parle de la de la personne, ça me donne... c'est troublant, mais pour moi, j'attends des décisions du gouvernement en général. Encore, une personne, c'est une décision qui peut être mauvaise ou positive, je ne sais pas. Mais je vais avoir confiance si j'ai des indications, des étapes politiques avec des politiques concrètes, avec des actions concrètes où le gouvernement dit que oui, c'est une priorité. J'attends cette décision parce que pour moi, ça, c'est plus important. Merci beaucoup. Oh, okay, fine. And did you have one?
I just, you're talking about that you're waiting to find out, what concrete actions will be taken, but, we still haven't got the mandate letters. We still don't know what's going to be in the throne
That's
speech.
right.
So it's almost a little premature to kind of to judge based on that. But is there anything in the record of the different ministers that have been named today that gives you any confidence that you can work with this government and particular files, if you could name them, and, different ministers that are at the table today?
Well, I mean, the meeting with the Prime Minister, I can go back to that. There seemed to be an openness, and I take that in good faith. The naming of the ministers doesn't change that for me. It doesn't make it better or worse. I respect the decision that the Prime Minister makes on those ministers. It doesn't actually change anything in terms of my willingness to work for it. I'm ready to work with the government if they deliver on real action for people, and that's what I'm waiting to see. And you're right, it's early to say, so I'm not saying that that's been ruled out. I have yet to see it. And I think that'll come in the days and weeks that follow, that we'll see whether or not they're committed to it. And then I kind of answers that question in French a bit. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. Merci.